Welcome to Real Money, Real Life, the podcast where we get real about money and the messy human stuff that comes with it. I'm Linda Grizely, financial educator and your Me Money guide to financial clarity. Each week, we dive into financial concepts and money strategies, but we always tie it back to real life, emotions, mindset, and how money actually shows up day to day. If you're ready for practical tools, mindset shifts, and honest conversations that meet you where you are, not where the world thinks you should be, you're in the right place. Because you deserve to feel confident with your money and good about how you use it. No judgment, no lectures, and definitely no putting yourself last. Hello, everyone. If you're listening, you are one of the real ones. The ones looking for practical ways to put more money back in your pocket without earning more or working harder. Today, we're talking about improving financial well-being by cutting monthly bills. Many people focus on earning more, but controlling expenses is one of the fastest ways to create immediate cash flow. In this conversation, we're going to explore why so many people overpay on everyday bills, how negotiation works behind the scenes, and how lowering fixed expenses can create breathing room and financial confidence without changing lifestyle or service. My guest today is a financial veteran with more than 50 years of experience helping people and businesses improve their financial well-being and generate lasting cash flow. Barry Gross holds a Bachelor of Business degree in marketing from the University of Houston and spent 10 years as a financial planner and asset manager at E.F. Hutton before launching multiple successful companies. He's the founder of BillCutterz, an industry-leading bill negotiation service that has helped generate millions in savings for customers and has been featured on ABC World News Tonight, CNBC, CNN, and Good Morning America. Barry's mission is simple: help people stop overpaying and put money back in their wallets. Welcome, Barry.
Thanks, Linda. It's such a pleasure to be here. I have to tell you on the front side, and I hope that your listeners appreciate this because I certainly do. But I'm just enamored by your podcast and your transparency in reference to your life's personal journey and how you reinvent yourself constantly, as we all do, I think. Maybe we're not even aware of it, but we all reinvent ourselves at different points in our life because circumstances present themselves that require that. And if we can't adapt, then we kind of wallow in our own mess that may have occurred, unfortunately, either in our control or out of our control. But I just want to say what a pleasure it is to be on here with you and just to talk for, 30, 45 minutes. And hopefully somebody that's listening will take a nugget. That's my mission today, and put it in their back pocket and improve their life in some fashion. So I'm ready. Let's go.
Oh, thanks so much, Barry. I do share a lot of my personal story on other people's podcasts, but I have not shared much of it on my own podcast. A little bit, but not a lot. So I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, that is the goal of this podcast, is to share these little nuggets and help people and be a resource and connect them with people like you that they might need. So, let's talk more about you. So the the first thing I want to ask is, how did you end up focusing on bill negotiation and expense reduction after a career in financial services?
It's a long story, but I'll try and make it short. In all honesty, it goes back years. But when I was a broker in the 80s, I was involved in the crash of 1987 on October 19th. And I was managing people's portfolios. As you're well aware, you're a CFP, certified financial planner. And I had a lot of dollars under management. And I don't want to get too technical, but when the market crashed on that date, it dropped 33%. And personally, I'm a very honest person. I try to do right by people. I try to help people. And this was something out of everybody's control. Maybe some people saw it coming, maybe they didn't. But the short of it was, my clients, who I was trying to do good for, in 24 hours or overnight, lost a third of their assets, which is monumental. It's the same thing as today. The Dow Jones is around 50,000, we'll call it. When I was doing this, the Dow Jones was around 1,800. just to give you perspective. And if it dropped 33% today, that's when you watch the evening news or ABC World News Tonight or whatever your favorite flavor is, and you would find that the Dow dropped 15,000 points in one day. And you would go, oh my God. And you'd talk to your spouse or your loved one or whoever maybe you share your finances with. And you'd go, we just lost a third of our net worth today. And it was a shocker for me. I mean, literally just stopped me in my tracks. And I could go into gory detail, but my job was on the following day, that Tuesday after the Black Monday, was to call my clients and tell them that unfortunately there was a situation in the marketplace that was out of my control and out of everybody's control, and everybody lost a lot of their monies. And to maintain your portfolio in its same state, you're going to have to send me $15,000 in wire transfer because it's got to be here in 24 hours. And if it's not here in 24 hours, I'm going to have to sell 40,000 shares of your XYZ. And I made those calls all day long till the wee hours of the night. And it was painful. I mean, really horrible for me internally to have, for something like this to have happened to my clients was earth shattering. I can't emphasize it enough. So I made these calls and I did what I could do. And they said, well, what do we do? And I said, well, if you have some liquid cash or you have some dry powder, so to speak, we really should be buying hand over fist because the market has crashed. It's a buying opportunity. And as you can see from here, we are, almost 40 years later, anybody that bought the day after or the week after or the month after the market crashed, I mean, the Dow Jones went from 1,000 to 50,000. Not a bad return. So these are buying opportunities, but at the time it didn't feel like it. And on November 15th, just at a month after the market crashed, I had my first anxiety attack. And I knew that I was living in Houston, Texas at the time, and which is quite a hustle and bustle and, fast paced. And I was in a market that was fast paced and all my business was smile and dial. So my first anxiety attack, which felt like a heart attack, I really didn't know what was happening to me, but I was stressed out is really what it amounted to. Just totally stressed. And I lasted in that space or in that business for another couple, 3 years. And then I literally took a sabbatical. I took 7 years off to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. And I fished. And I know your husband fishes too. And we share that. And I have my awards on the wall and my fishing lures and those kind of things. But that's my passion. And I still get to do that two days a week. I live on a canal, which is awesome. And I'm in Corpus Christi, Texas. So I'm not getting the snow and all that kind of stuff. And it's a diamond in the rough and still is. But after I did that, I was trying to figure out what I could do moving forward that would be within my own personal guidelines for helping people and no risk involved. And it would be a win-win or a win-win-win for the business model. And I went to a friend of mine who was a mortgage banker. The story's on my website. And if you really want to read it in detail, it's at the bottom of all of my pages. And it says how we got started. And it's how BillCutterz got started. And I had been living in this house here for 2 years and 9 months on a 30-year mortgage. And I was very unfamiliar with some of the charges that were on my mortgage statement monthly. And Mindy had been 29 years in the mortgage space. So I called her up and I asked her if I could come over and show her my mortgage and, see if she could diagnose where I might be overspending or what these charges really meant or what was I paying for and was I going to be paying for this forever? And a host of questions. And she no sooner looked at it. I mean, seriously, she looked at it and just glanced at it and said, well, you're paying PMI, and PMI stands for personal mortgage insurance. And what it means is that if you don't qualify in specific for your initial loan, you pay a fee to your mortgage broker, which mine at the time was Wells Fargo, for about 2 years until you show that you can steadily pay your mortgage. And then that goes away after 2 years. But I had been with them for 2 years and 9 months. And Mindy said, well, go home, call Wells Fargo, tell them that you've got this PMI on your bill, which, by the way, I was paying $181 a month for the personal mortgage insurance. And I called them and I spoke to a rep, and, I didn't ask for a specific department. I said, I just wanted to get clarity on my bill. And I said, I'm paying for this PMI, and, I've heard, or I think that this is supposed to go away after 2 years, but I've been in this mortgage for 2 years, 9 months. Can you help me out? And she said, oh yeah, I can see that. You've been paying well over your due. We should have stopped this 9 months ago. And my initial response was, oh, well, great. Well, then you're going to cut me a big fat refund check, right? And she said, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. But what I can do is I can make sure that this is removed from you for the rest of your mortgage, which was another 27 years and 3 months. So I saved $181 a month for the next 27 years and 3 months, which calculated to $59,187 in a 5-minute phone call.
Wow.
Life-changing.
Yeah.
It was bigger than a light bulb going off. It was like the sun exploding for me. I mean, that was miraculous. And I called Mindy up and I said, Mindy, I called Wells Fargo. I want to come tell you what happened. So I went over to her house and she said, well, talk to me, tell me. And I told her, and she said, oh, that's fantastic. Good for you. And I said, well, how can I ever repay you? What can I do? I mean, that's insane. And she says, well, I have an AT&T bill. It's a landline. And I've been paying $66 a month on it forever. And of course, I had a landline too. And mine also happened to be with AT&T. And she says, I've called them 5 times to try and get them to reduce the bill, but they just won't do it. And if I give you the bill, maybe you can call them for me and see if you can get it reduced. And I said, well, I'm paying $33 a month. You're paying $66 a month. It makes no sense. Yours doesn't have any more bells and whistles than mine does. So let me give them a call and I'll give them a try and I'll let you know the results. And I called up AT&T and I spoke to the rep, and I have no clue. It was probably just the regular customer service department who I was speaking with. And they gave Mindy, I should say, because I was calling on her behalf, $33 a month, just like me. And I reduced her bill by 50%. And I said, well, how long will this be for? And they said, for the life of her bill. And I said, oh, that's cool. Thank you so much. And I went back over to Mindy's and said, by the way, guess what happened? I called AT&T on your behalf. You're now going to be paying $33 moving forward instead of the $66 you've been paying. And I think that's pretty good. And she says, oh my God, that's fantastic. And she said, how did you do it? And I said, to be perfectly honest, I don't know. I don't know how I did it. I just talked to the rep and said the scenario doesn't seem right. And why should I be paying twice what my friend is paying? And we've got the same instrument and bells and whistles. And we just looked at each other. And I'm going to tell you, it was a long time just staring at each other. We were 20 feet across in her living room. And there was a lot of silence. I mean, 15 to 20 seconds. She looked at me and she said, Barry, this could be a business. And I said, wow. And my wheels started turning. And I knew that it was going to be a lot of work to start a new business. Any new business is a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work. And she was not in great health, and she passed a couple of years later. But I asked her, I said, Mindy, how can I know that, you're in not so good health and you probably can't help me with this journey of starting a business should I decide to do it, because I was still in the thought process. But how could I ever repay you? And she said, well, when you get famous and you become big with BillCutterz and you mention the story of how we got started, just use my name, Mindy Niles. That's my story.
I love it. What a great story. And that's exactly how sometimes things happen. Like, you have an idea, it worked for you, and you're like, I know there are millions of other people that are just like me that are overpaying for their bills and don't even realize it. And, you know, we don't have time. We don't know who to call. And so tell us how you help us. What do you do? How does your service work?
Well, what I did to start with when I started my business is I called all my family and friends and anybody that would give me a bill, and I said, please let me negotiate on your behalf so I can learn the nuances of all of the different service providers, of which there are several, close to 40 or 50. And I spent a good 6 to 12 months getting the lay of the land. And yes, in answer to your question, everybody is overpaying on their monthly bills, whether they know it or not. And everybody's situation is a little different. I mean, I pay my bills on time. I used to be a check writer. I mean, that's all. My bill would come, I'd write a check. If it was 5 or 10 or 15 or $20 more, I still wrote the check. I never questioned it. And unless you question your bills or you look at your bills or you can understand your bills, then you usually start off, or we'll call it 2009 when I started my business. I mean, you could sign up for AT&T, DirecTV, Spectrum, any of them that were available at the time, and they had an intro rate. And the intro rate was usually $29.99. And what would happen is a year and a half later, you would wake up and you'd be paying $120 for the same bill and the same service. I mean, that was just very commonplace. And people just wrote the checks because they fell in love with the service. I mean, I've been a DirecTV customer since 2003, but they just raise your rates, and it's called bill creep. I mean, there's literally a name for it. And we all just continue to write those checks. Well, when Mindy came around and introduced me to this potential bill negotiation service, and nobody was doing it anywhere. I mean, it wasn't nobody had it. So I decided I would start it, and I opened my business in 2009, and I've been doing it ever since. And the business model really works because people don't realize what they're overpaying on their bills. And if they pay their bills on time and they're a responsible, respectable customer, then you're liable to get a very hefty discount if you know who to speak with at your respective service provider. And I learned that in my studies, what departments to talk to instead of customer service, because anybody can call their service provider and probably get $10 off on their bill per month for the next 12 months. But when we do it at BillCutterz, we're liable to get you $30, $50, $70, $90 off a month on your bill because we know the right people to speak with. And we're negotiating 24/7 for customers all over the United States and Canada. And we become experts at it. Whereas John Doe Public doesn't know the nuances of how to do that. And we take the burden off the customer and we do it off their behalf. And for that, we charge 50% of what we save them. And there's no upfront cost at all. So they're getting a free look at their bills. One of two things is going to happen. One, we're going to save them money and we're going to invoice them for 50% of the savings. Or two, we're not going to save them money and there's no charge and they know they're going to be paying their lowest rate. So it's a win for us and it's a win for the customer. We get to put a few dollars in our pocket and the customer puts dollars in their pocket as well. And it's also a win. The interesting part is it's also a win for the service provider because by providing a discount to the customer, they are creating goodwill and they are maintaining or retaining this customer for a longer period of time, which is critical to their business. There's a lot of competition out there right now. I mean, if I wanted a cable service or an internet service or otherwise, there are a lot of people I could shop with. And if you just watch your normal TV, you'll see that there are advertisements for AT&T and Time Warner Cable and all sorts of cell phone companies, et cetera. They're all begging for your business. They're spending millions and millions of dollars every month to get new business. Now, keep in mind that they're spending these millions of dollars. If they don't retain who they have, then they're kissing their sister because they're losing customers at the same time as they're gaining customers. And they don't want that. They want to retain or maintain their customers while they're building the business. So that's why BillCutterz works. It's a win for the service provider giving the discount. It's a win for us. We put a few dollars in our pocket. And it's a win for the customer because they've saved money and literally put the dollars in their pocket effortlessly.
Yeah, it makes sense. You do hear that the cost of getting one new client is so much more expensive than just retaining an existing one. So the idea that they might be able to lower their bill to keep one is going to cost them less than trying to get another one to replace that one, in addition to growing their business and getting more. So that makes sense. Tell me more about the 50% that you charge, because when you set this up, you talked about how much it cost, how much you saved over time by eliminating that PMI on your mortgage. But are you charging it forever? How much are the 50% are you getting?
It's a great question, and thank you so much for asking for clarity. Um, Let me take just an example if I can. Let's just say that we save you $50 a month. And by the way, there are no contracts in reference to service providers anymore. There used to be. Everybody had contracts. Everybody bitched about it and they went away. So nobody has a contract anymore. You can cancel your service anytime you want and switch providers. That's just the way it is with almost every bill. So that is out of the way. And it gives us some freedom to negotiate. And when we call for pricing, which was your question, and we get $50 off a month, that's commonly for 12 months. So that would be $600, 50 times 12. And we would split that with the customer. So the customer would get $300 net because they would see the discount on a line item on their bill of $50 a month, but they would pay us $300. So their net for the next 12 months that they just put in their pocket because BillCutterz did the work for them, the hassle and the haggle and knowing who to call and how to do what we do, they've netted in signing up with BillCutterz $300 for the year. And like, I forget the guy's name that used to do, and it even gets better. It does get better. So we have two ways that the customer can pay us. They can pay us in monthly installments. So if they pay us $300 over the course of 12 months, just to be mathematically clear, they can pay us, if they want to, $25 a month for the next 12 months. Or they have an option, in which case they can pay us up front in one lump sum. And if they do that, which their bill would be $300, we discount their bill by another 10%. So we take $30 off of that bill. So they would write us a check for $270, and their net would go from $300 to $330 for the next 12 months. And since they're reaching out to us in the first place to save money, that's what we're helping them do. So I put that 10% caveat in there so that, and interestingly enough, 90% of our customers take advantage of that extra 10% because it's more money right back in their pocket. The interesting part about this, and something that I need to be clear about in reference to BillCutterz, this is not a one and done. We don't do this once and then you're on your own. In the 11th month of the 12th month, when your discount is about ready to expire, we'll reach out to you via email, text, or otherwise and let you know. And we'll say, Linda, the discount we got for you 11 months ago is about ready to expire. Do we have your permission to renegotiate again and see if we can not only get that $50 off a month, but potentially even more, because there's discounts that pop up all the time. And all of our customers, I mean, when I say all, 97% say, absolutely, let's go for it. Do it. Yes, of course, because they all want to save money. Everybody, you can't name a person, even a rich person today in this environment, that doesn't want to save money. So we repeat the process over and over and over. And we've had customers since 2000. So our retention rate is 90+% on the people that we work with because they love our service. And if you went to the BBB or the Google, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but our reviews are pretty stellar. I mean, we're 5-star rated across the board. And now bill negotiation, has become an industry. There are a lot of pop-up people that have come, especially when we were on ABC World News Tonight in 2014 and were exposed. But I hope that explains your pricing issue for you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And, I have one particular bill that I used to call on every single year, because every year I would get this bill. It was actually for satellite radio. So I started with satellite radio in my car a long time ago, and I was paying a lot for it back then, but there weren't all these streaming services, right? So as the streaming services started happening, the bill did come down somewhat, but every year they would send me this new bill. And I was like, I don't really know that I need satellite radio anymore because I have it on my phone. I can plug my phone in my car. So I called them and I was canceling it. And they said, well, what if we just give you this amount? Will you do it? And I was like, yeah, that's probably worth it. So I started paying that amount. And then next year, the bill came for the big amount again. And I called them up and I said, I called you last year. I don't really need this, whatever. And they said, well, how about this much? Which was still more than I had paid the last year. I said, no, not worth it to me. And so they brought it back down to what I was paying before. And every year I would call them and every year I would negotiate it back down. And they would try to get me, at a midpoint. And I would say, nope, not worth it because it wasn't, because I'm like, I don't really need this anymore. And so it's just funny that I should do that with all of my bills. Why am I not doing with all of my bills? It was just this one particular thing because I was like, I don't really need it. The other ones I need and I want, but I could still be doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, just absolutely. I can't tell you when I get a bill and if it's gone up $5, I'm on the phone. $5 a month, $60 may sound nominal. It's just like I told you about the PMI and it was $181. But $60 a year times however many more years you're going to live puts that money right back in your pocket. And maybe you go buy a good dinner with you and your husband, or you save up for a vacation, or use it for whatever the hell you want to use it for. I mean, it's free money. It's money that you're just wasting. It's sitting there for you, but you have to make the call. But what's interesting is a lot of people come to BillCutterz not only for the savings, but they really appreciate that they don't have to haggle and hassle with their service providers, because we're all challenged daily in our lives with all the things that we have to do. And who wants to sit on the phone and be on hold for 20 minutes with a service provider and you've got 5 bills and you're going to do this on a Saturday morning, which is your time off? I don't think so. So there is appreciative of the monies that we save them, but equally appreciative of the fact that we give them a greater stress-free life, which really is meaningful to me. I mean, we're making a difference in so many ways. It's pretty phenomenal. And I'm so glad that the business model has stood the test of time. People really like what we do. And that, as opposed to the market crash of 1987, you can see that it's polar opposites. And I'm very happy with where I am now doing this instead of being in the brokerage space. And I'm sure you can relate. Yeah, you're smiling and I know it, but it's real. Yeah, it's fun. Business is fun when it's fun. And when it affects you negatively and for a period of time and it becomes stressful and you don't want to get up, it's time to reinvent yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, Barry, the idea that I would be paying BillCutterz to, preserve my time, because we all know, like you said, sitting on hold, and also my sanity, because if I don't have to say speak to a representative, speak to a representative, you're screaming into the phone, like I need to talk to a person. Somebody else can do that for me. I think that's a great service that you're offering.
Thank you. It is. No, and it's seriously, I mean, anything that you can do to relieve your stress in your daily activities is a good thing, whether that be exercising, meditating, eating better, taking care of yourself. I have a few notes here, but people don't take time to take care of themselves, and nobody really is going to do that for you. I know you know that. And I'm not talking about monetarily. I'm talking about eating better, saying no when somebody gives you an offer that is going to be disruptive to your world or your life or your psyche or whatever. No is a complete sentence. I've done a lot of self-work, if you haven't noticed already. And I've been through what I would call, crisis, and I've always survived. And the most interesting part is about me, at least I feel for me. And again, I'm not trying to brag in any way, but I know, because I've come from hell and back many times, that I can do it again. And there's nothing that can be put in front of me again that I can't overcome. It may not be pleasant, but I can do it. And it starts with micro steps. I'm reading a book, you probably know of it. It's by James Clear. It's called Atomic Habits. And it's how small changes, small, miniature, microscopic changes in your life produce huge results over time. And it's just getting started and doing it. So, bill negotiation or cutting your bills is just one easy thing that somebody can do. I mean, literally, it takes you 3 minutes to sign up with us or anybody that does bill negotiation, but I prefer you would do it with us. But, it takes you 3 minutes, you submit your bills, and we go to work on your behalf, and we take care of it, and we let you know the outcome. Pretty simple.
I love it. And I think that one of the things that happens these days, because everything is so automated and electronic, that a lot of people don't ever see a statement or ever see a bill. It's just coming out of their bank account and money is coming in and money's going out. And as long as nothing's bouncing or nothing's going haywire, everything's good. So it's really easy to just ignore it and not even think about it. So I think that's one of the reasons maybe why we get stuck in paying these extra fees, because the companies know that. And they know that there
Yeah.
are going to be people that are just going to keep paying it regardless.
Yeah, they do. And you bring up one of my notes, which is, and some people get offended at it. A lot of people really like automatic debit to their account for bills. I don't do it at all, ever. Everything I get, of course, I get them both ways. I get them by snail mail, which comes in my mailbox, and I can literally view them. And I also get a notification by email from the company in reference to my bill is due. So I get both. But physically coming in my mailbox and letting me look at it every month. And on every bill that you see, whichever your service provider is, you're going to see your last month's bill and you're going to see this month's bill. But if you're being auto debited, you're not going to see your bill at all because you don't take the time to do it. So I get it in the mail and I see if I'm paying $89 for a service one month and the next month I'm paying $96. I'm going to call him and want to know where the $7 came from. And if it's not a national, everybody got this, not just you, Barry Gross, everybody got it, then I'm okay. But if it's me for some unbeknownst reason, I really want to know why. And I'm going to get that my goal on that call is going to be to get that $7 off. And I know it sounds nominal and excuse me, and petty, but if I do that on 10 bills, that's $70.
Yeah. And it adds up, like you said, it adds up over time too. It's just not $70 for that month or that year or whatever it is. It's ongoing. If you're reducing it, hopefully you're keeping it reduced over time. So what other psychological behaviors or things do you think, like we're talking about mindset here and internal obstacles that would prevent people from doing this, from actually either calling or hiring you to cut their bills? What would stop people from doing this?
As I mentioned previously, I think that people, why would you invite disruption into your life? Why would you want to get into an argument, so to speak? And that's what people think they're going to do. They're going to have to call up and they're going to have to argue. And they're really easy ways to do it without arguing. We don't argue with anybody. We don't want to misrepresent the customer. We're the nice guys. We're trying to get them to maintain me as a customer or the customer we represent. So I think people are hesitant because it's a hassle and it's a haggle and it's not sometimes a fun argument and you don't always win. And if you don't know how to navigate the playing field, it becomes increasingly difficult. And that's where we come in. We take the load off and you're stress-free. I mean, literally, you get the result and it's one of two things. Yes, we saved you money. And yes, we're going to charge you approximately 50%, depending upon how you decide to pay us. Or no, you're paying the lowest rate possible. Congratulations for you. And you should know that regularly. I mean, service providers change their rates every 3 to 6 months across the board. And sometimes they're running big discounts and sometimes they're not. And sometimes, for that matter, I mean, we have thousands of customers that have been with us for years and years and years. And sometimes because we're on the phone 24/7 to AT&T and Time Warner Cable and DirecTV and Spectrum and Sirius XM that you mentioned previously, or those kinds of folks, we learn of new promotions. And if we get a promotion for, AT&T or Spectrum, and they're taking automatically $30 off for the next 12 months for a customer, I'll go in my CRM or my database, find all of our people that are using that service provider, send them a note and say, hey, we've learned of a discount with your XYZ provider that they're going to offer $30 off for the next 12 months. Would you like for us to take advantage of it for you? And they say, hell yes, do it, go. And we do. And we charge them $15 and we keep $15. But they just netted $180 on us doing the work for them. So we're monitoring at the same time all of the things that happen in the space so that they don't have to concern themselves with it and they can save money from it. And they're happy to pay us for the service.
Are there any types of bills or particular companies, maybe you don't want to name companies, but what types tend to have the most opportunity in them for cutting?
The best companies currently, and this changes over time, but cable or satellite TV is a big win for us. We almost always get a significant discount on cable and satellite TV. Internet service is also extremely competitive, and we get nice discounts on that as well. And cell phones, not as much as it used to be, because I believe their margins are quite thin and they really can't reduce their rates as much as you would expect. Sirius XM happens to be, just FYI, or, satellite radio, a big win for us and the customer. Everybody at Sirius, you know from personal experience, they up their rates regularly. And, a customer may reach out to us for something that we negotiated for them over the years and say, I just got a rate increase. Can you help me out? Well, sure. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah. Well, I was reaching out to them every year. Every year I saw my bill was coming due, I would call. And then finally I just canceled it because I'm like, I don't need this. And I'm not really using it anymore because I'm using other services. And then I still got phone calls and snail mail offers from them trying to get me back. And it was like, if you would have recognized that I was calling every year and I was on to you, that you were doing this to me every year, if you would have just recognized that and just kept it low and not had me have to make this call every year, I probably would have just kept it. But because it was like, a thorn in my side, I was like, I'm going to pull it out and let it go. Like, I'm not going to keep doing this. So it's just interesting, like that they are playing this game. Anyway.
They
All right,
they are because they can.
Right. And because they know that enough people are gonna just ignore it and
That's
keep going.
exactly right. And they're willing
Right.
to take that risk that they're not going to negotiate their own bills and or that they're not going to hire a professional expert negotiator like BillCutterz.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about action steps for people. So BillCutterz with a Z on the end, right?
Thank you.
Tell us what's one simple thing that someone can do to identify potential savings.
Well, we encourage people to send us all their bills, regardless of if we can help them or not. Some bills are not negotiable. There's a lot of bills that we don't handle. We don't handle medical bills. We don't handle credit cards. We don't handle insurance. We don't handle, there are others that are regulated and or they have all sorts of government restrictions. We don't handle brokerage accounts, brokerage fees, those kind of things. There's some that we just can't help with. And if they give us all of their bills, we know initially just by looking at who the bill is from, not the person, but the provider, if we can negotiate or not. And we'll let them know this bill is not right. For example, just a point in case, a lot of people like to send in their water bills. They're not happy with their water bills. And water bills are commonly provided by the city or their municipality, and they're fixed, and you don't have a choice. And because there's no competition, that's what you're going to pay. So we know that we're not going to be able to be successful on a water bill. Whereas if there's competition in the space and it's not regulated, then we can get them a discount. But the last thing I want to do, I mean, I talk about insurance and people go, why don't you negotiate insurance? Surely you could do that. Well, a lot of times the only way that insurance companies will negotiate with you is if you lower your plan. In other words, you reduce your coverage or something in that respect.
Right.
And I'm not going to tell you that it would be my luck, but the last thing by the way, in all of our negotiations, I should make a very clear note that we do these negotiations without changing your plan or service. Everything remains the same. All the bells and whistles are the same. It is a steady, hard, and fast rule at BillCutterz that we never, ever change the plan, even if the customer asks for it. Now, what we might do, and I'm sorry to sway off and go off base here, but when we do negotiations for people, sometimes they might have 500 megabytes for their internet speed, and we can get 1 gig for them. And they'll throw that in as a freebie, so to speak. They don't charge the customer. So we might even in a phone call get you a better service, but we never take away from your service ever at the price of the negotiation, because that would defeat the purpose. And people want their channel XYZ when they turn on the TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you lose it, then, oh my
definitely.
God, shame on you, BillCutterz, So yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, because I think that is a good point, which I hadn't even thought about that, but there might be people that were thinking that or wondering. So I'm glad you did clarify that.
Sure.
Okay, this is the point where I ask you who needs to find you, but I feel like everybody needs to find you. Is there anyone in particular that is like the ideal person to come to you?
Anybody that has a remote interest in putting money back in their pocket, which I think would be everybody. It's funny. We deal with a broad spectrum of people. We deal with people that, so to speak, are not financially well-to-do, and we deal with other people that are living in mansions. And I got news for you. They're all the same. They all have the same impetus to save money on their monthly bills. But I want to ask you a question, because maybe you would know better than me, because I'm familiar with, your podcasts, and that one of your mainstays is to empower women to get educated in the way of finances. But I looked at our enrollments and our customers over the course of now coming up in May. It'll be 17 years. Let me get this number right, because I don't want to miss it. 58% of our customers are women. Why do you think? Because of your familiarity with the space, that more women than men subscribe with us or utilize our service?
I think it's because actually more women pay the bills. So more women are the ones handling the everyday finances for a household, while men are typically the ones who handle the investments and what's considered planning for the future. Women are usually the ones handling the now, which is a whole nother podcast about the disconnection between one person handling for the now and the other person handling for the future, and the tie between the two and how they integrate.
No, I got it.
But
And I've heard
I
some of
think
yours.
that's why.
No, I think, and that's certainly reasonable. The roles of men and women over the course of 50 years have changed dramatically and shifted, and everybody's adjusting. And I had to laugh when I heard your interview previously, when you had put your husband on a budget. And I thought it was great. Please don't misconstrue. I wasn't laughing at it. I was laughing with it, because it was so cool. It was just way cool. And I loved it. And interestingly enough, in that same podcast that you alluded to, where you gave your husband the budget, you asked him a month or two later, well, how did it go for you? And he says, well, it's okay. And it didn't turn his world upside down. And you asked him then, you followed up with, well, how did things change for you? And he said, well, I saw a golf shirt that I liked. And I'm sure you remember this story, don't you?
Oh yeah, I tell it all the time, because
I'm so
it's
sorry.
the whole. No, keep telling it. I don't know that my audience has heard it. I probably told it in one of my beginning episodes, but please tell it because I tell it all the time, but
So
it
anyway,
hasn't really been repeated here. So
after you gave him the budget and you said, well, what, are you okay with it? He said, yes. And then he said, well, what's changed for you? And he said, well, I saw a golf shirt that I liked and I thought about buying it on my budget. And then as I thought more about it, I said, maybe if I don't buy the golf shirt, I can save up and I can maybe buy a set of golf clubs. Or maybe I can have a weekend with the guys and go golfing somewhere. And his mind started to turn, and you basically gave him a mindset shift is what you did. And it worked. And God bless you for it. And God bless you both for it. So yeah, it's as I mentioned, atomic habits. It's just being aware. I think awareness is a key aspect of everything, whether it be relationships, relationships with money, conversations with your checker at the grocery store. Everybody knows me at my grocery store. I go there 4 days a week. I like to eat healthy. I know everybody by first name, and they'll bend over backwards for me. And just building rapport. And listen, in my life, I'm seeking harmony and happiness and peace. And I think that's really, at the end of the day, what everybody wants. So my mission, if you will, is to be kind and harmonious with the world. And I think that BillCutterz helps to do that. Sometimes I have to remind my employees that we're really doing good instead of being in the minutia. And I have to remind myself as well. But if you make just a single step like your husband did with his shirt, it can make a massive change in his life, I believe. And you did good. That's all.
Well, thanks, Barry. Yeah, that's the whole story about how my Me Money method came about. It actually came about from my own personal experience. So I appreciate you sharing that. All right, Barry, tell us how people can find you. What's the best way for them to reach out or find more about BillCutterz?
Well, you can go to my website, which is BillCutterz, BillCutterz, as in zebra.com, and just sign up. Our website is completely transparent. We try to provide not an overwhelming amount of information, but enough information to make sure that you're clear on what you're signing up for. And keep in mind that our service takes about 3 to 4 minutes to sign up. It's nothing more than a name, address, phone number, last 4 of your social. We don't want any personal information beyond that. That's all. That allows us to talk to your service provider on your behalf. And we take it from there. So direct me to your question again. I'll maybe answer it better.
I think that's good enough. BillCutterz.com, Cutters with a Z, right?
That's me.
All right. Thanks, Barry. And I do have a disclosure that normally goes out in the closing part of my show, but I just want to remind everyone that I am not acting as a financial advisor on this show. Barry's not a financial advisor. We're here for educational purposes, and listeners should research any investment instruments on their own or consult a qualified investment or tax advisor to determine what is appropriate for their individual situation. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I have a closing nugget for you. You don't need to make more money to feel better financially. Sometimes you just need to stop overpaying for what you already have. If you're still here, you're one of the real ones. Thanks for listening to the end. You matter. Thanks so much for listening to Real Money, Real Life. Want to see what's blocking you from financial confidence or discover your money personality? Head to the resources page at lindagrizz.com for our free quizzes. That's LINDAGRIZ.com/resources. If you're loving what you're learning, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. I'm your Me Money guide to financial clarity, Linda Grizely, and I'll catch you next time as we talk more real money, real life, because you deserve to feel confident with your money and good about how you spend it. The content shared here is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not financial, tax, legal, or planning advice and does not constitute therapy or mental health counseling. Please consult an actively licensed and qualified professional for advice or help specific to your situation.